the early 1930s, the American government had categorized over 60% of Americans as poor. Over 1 million families had lost their farms. That in turn caused millions of homeless to migrate around America. The highway became incredibly significant to these people who sought transience and escape as the only option. It was captured in all its essence by one character. Henry Fonda's Tom Joad was the first film character to see the highway as a revelation. Based on John Steinbeck's novel, The Grapes of Wrath, it's a visual representation of the Great Depression and all its psychological devastation.
Where's my folks, Muley?
Why, they gone.
I know they're gone, but where are they gone?
Everybody's leaving, going out to California. Your folks, my folks, everybody's folks. Everybody except me. I ain't getting off.
Who done it?
Listen.
Released in 1940, it was a film about the recent past, the soil erosion and windstorms of the Dust Bowl, a period in the history of the American prairie that lasted through the 30s and up to the time of the film's release. The topsoil of the Midwest had been overtilled and had blown away. Stock prices were in free fall. Banks were faltering. 4 million people were unemployed. Sound familiar?
Tom Joad got out of the old McAllister pen. There he got his parole.
Nowadays, this seems like a quaint era in U.S. history. Why, you can even buy CDs of songs about it at Starbucks. There are photographs from that era that young urban couples used to decorate the white walls of their condos. But if every 8th grader in the U.S. had to read The Grapes of Wrath instead of Mice and Men, which is what I had to read in the 8th grade, probably because it's less text-heavy, America might be a very different country now.
The Grapes of Wrath, please.
I'll have to put you on the waiting list. We've never had such a demand for a book. Do you have a copy of Grapes of Wrath?
Sorry, we're all sold out.
The Grapes of Wrath, I think, is one of the most significant books of the 20th century. You know, to have a book where there's a national dialogue where you have the First Lady weighing in and congressmen talking about it and lines in libraries, and it's selling, you know, hundreds of thousands of copies, and then the movie comes out, and then there's the discussion begins again.
Grapes of Wrath, Grapes of Wrath, Grapes of Wrath. As sales skyrocket, the Grapes of Wrath becomes the book of the nation. Everyone, everywhere, joins in the discussion of its vital problem.
The power of The Grapes of Wrath is in using an individual character to illustrate the socialist themes of the time. Tom Joad is from a family of sharecroppers in Oklahoma. He's done a little time in prison for murder and self-defense. He gets paroled early, comes back to the family's farm only to discover they've all packed up and headed to California, where supposedly there's lots of farming jobs that still exist. Tom catches up with his family just as the authorities are demolishing his house, and they all head west in a big old crappy truck that will return years later, carrying the Beverly Hillbillies.
And now, at last, The Grapes of Wrath is ready for the screen as the motion picture captures all the drama, suspense, action, tears and laughter of the story that stirred a nation.
The Grapes of Wrath was banned in certain municipal libraries in the U.S. as late as the 1990s. Some people consider it a fictionalized version of the Communist Manifesto, and its anti-capitalism stance, or what you people call socialism, is pretty blatant.
Wherever there's a fight so hungry people can eat, I'll be there. Wherever there's a cop beating up a guy, I'll be there. I'll be in the way guys yell when they're mad. I'll be in the way kids laugh when they're hungry and they know supper's ready.
The speech certainly is what everybody remembers in the book. It says, you know, if the people are treated this way, they're going to become angry and something's going to happen.
I'm a-blowing down this old dusty road, Lord, Lord, and I ain't going to be treated this way.
You can't keep pushing people down and cutting wages without them, at some point, wanting to grab power. And so that's threatening to, you know, American sense of identity, the sort of the roots of the American self.
I'm going where the dust
The story is about how humans, when faced with natural disaster and social structures that destroy their ability to earn a living, press on with dignity and hope. And as the movie progresses, the road and the notion of mobility slowly changes from dystopia to something to be admired. The Grapes of Wrath ultimately romanticizes wandering, and it treats perpetual rootlessness as a happy ending. It's also the first film to romanticize automobile travel.
Refugee